All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Serious Angler podcast, powered by our friends over at X2 Power. And as you can tell, we got an interesting configuration going on for this one. One, obviously, Andy and I are in person here. So, yeah, as always, folks, I'm your host, Bailey Aguibert. And with me in person, we're together in our hotel room.
Right. Yeah.
Mr. Andy Full. What's going on, dude?
Not a whole lot. We made it here safely. I flew in a plane, which I hate, but
Lift the mic up a little bit.
we made it work. We're
Yeah.
here.
For folks who don't know, Andy hates flying.
Yes.
I slept the entire time because I'm used to flying every other month, it seems like at this point. But yeah, this show was supposed to be or intended to be at the launch of Major League Fishing REDCREST. Yes, we are down in Charlotte, North Carolina at Major League Fishing's REDCREST here on Lake Norman. And we were going to have our setup at the launch. But then we realized something with the internet connection. But two, we went to launch this morning. We posted some stuff.
Frigid.
Yeah, it was
Frigid.
cold. It was. Andy had his Blackfish gloves with him, which I think is a very smart move. I wish I did that this morning. As I'm trying to go live and stuff for you guys on like Instagram, my hands are, I can't even feel them.
Yeah, I'm surprised his phone wasn't shaking. It was pretty cold, but if you hid behind the building where they were doing everything, it was actually pretty warm. It was weird.
The wind sucked. The wind is what made it brutal. But I mean, I say that, and we're Northerners, so we shouldn't be complaining. But here we are.
Cold in the South is a different cold.
It's a much different cold. But the guys are out fishing right now. We're actually gonna, for folks, if you're watching on YouTube, we're gonna pull up the score tracker. We got permission to have this link up there for you guys. Obviously, we can't run the live stream, but we have a score tracker up there. And it looks like right now Burge is taking back over on top, which again, for guys, anyone that's keeping along, they're back to the 5-fish format for REDCREST. So best 5 fish. So here's how it's going to lay out for REDCREST. The next 5 days of the event. So it's a 5-day championship. You have your qualifying rounds today and tomorrow. These guys are out there fishing as we speak. And it's the whole field the next 2 days. And then they make the knockout round, which goes down to top 20, weights 0. Then it goes, the third day is top 20. Fourth day is top 15. They keep their weights. And then the last day, championship round, is top 10, and your weights carry over from the knockout rounds. How do you feel about that format?
I think it's an interesting format, but it's also kind of cool because they get the biggest amount of the anglers out of the way before the expo begins. So, pardon me, if they don't make the top 20 on Friday, right, then you have 20 anglers that will be at the expo Friday, and you're going to have more anglers throughout the weekend. So that's more social interaction for everyone who comes to the expo.
Yeah, and you already got half of REDCREST that didn't make the championships themselves that'll be there. So yeah, it'll be interesting if you have people that can talk to the event that'll be there and kind of give a look inside of what's going on as we watch Jesse Wiggins hook up again. He's fishing a wall. Like it looks like he hasn't moved at all. He's fishing a concrete slab wall and catching them one after another. If you guys, it's live every single day. If you guys want to tune in and watch as well, this one's going to be interesting in regards to weights. I really don't know quite what it's going to take because we talked to a few guys. We've talked with Brian Thrift, who is like the hometown favorite here, backyard, home water, that if it stayed warm going into this week, things were going to get real interesting. But now that this cold front's in here, it kind of puts things back in favor of, say, a Brian Thrift, a Kevin Van Dam, things along those lines, because wind, moving baits, cold means fish aren't going to be spawning as much as they thought they were going to be. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, just like watching live before recording this, right? Like everyone is catching them a different way, which makes it for a very exciting tournament. You have KBD, who is ripping his jerk bait, the slash bait, the Strike King. I can't remember what it's called.
I think it's just the KBD.
Yeah. And then Justin Lucas is offshore fishing somewhat deep, probably, or a channel swing, or
same with Burge.
Yep. And as we're talking about Justin Lucas, he gets a 2-minute fish landing violation penalty. Poor guy. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. You had an angler right at takeoff as they're launching out. I was like, it'll be interesting to see if anybody turns right and fishes the rip wrap. And he was literally, somebody pulled up, and I think it was Zach Burge. But yeah, that is a good one by Lucas.
Wonder what that fish was. That's got to be over 3 pounds.
Close. Spots are so
Oh,
hard
he
to
decided
catch.
he's going to wait again. So one thing that's interesting with this, obviously, Major League Fishing, it's it's catch, weigh, release. You don't put them in the live wells at all. They get 3 reweighs. So if they don't like it, like the first weigh, they can do it 2 more times. I believe that's how it is.
It's very interesting with Brian Thrift this morning because the minimum weight for a qualifying fish is 1 pound 7 ounces, and he reweighed a fish that was 1 pound 6 ounces 3 times and couldn't get it to that 1.7 magic marker, and he had to toss it back, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, we were literally just in the car with Major League Fishing's Joe Poggert, and we were talking about it. He was explaining how there's a scientific reason why that determines the average, the minimum weights for each of these fisheries. It's just weird for me. 1 pound 7 ounces.
Yeah, it's like, why not make it
Just
1/8?
Yeah,
or 1.
I mean, it may be OCD,
2, but I can see where they don't go 2 pounds because as we're watching live, a lot of the fish are between 1.8 and 1.13. But it's like, why not 1 1/4? Why not just make it 1 pound flat? Because I'm sure there's going to be keepers caught that are 1 pound, and that might be the difference of a guy who's on that cut line for making the Friday, and he's got 4 fish and he's in 21st. And if he would have been able to weigh that 1 pound even fish, he might jump into 17th or 18th because it is a spotted bass fishery. The weights will be super close unless we have an Edwin Evers go out and catch a 6-pounder, which
I think it's the biggest fish so far today.
It is, but getting a 6-pound largemouth in the qualifying rounds, I think, would hurt a little bit because I would want to save that one for the weekends.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking down. Chris Lane, first, winner of stage 1, is in 20th place right now with a 4-pounder with 1 fish. Look out for him, man. Look out for those guys. The guys that are low in the standings right now, but only have like 1 fish for 3.5 plus. Those guys, if they can get a bite an hour that's of that caliber.
Yeah, I wonder if largemouth will be able to hold up for 5 days.
Yeah, I don't know what the conditions, man. I mean, we were talking with Jeff Queen, obviously the boys over at Queen Tackle. We're trying to get KJ on here as well to kind of divulge a lay of this lake of like, obviously Andy and I can give our best guess from our knowledge of bass, but KJ, him and Jeff Queen live on the lake. So they're going to be able to give a really accurate picture of what the rest of the week is going to look like. We're trying to get him on here to kind of help us, go through that. But I agree. I don't know what that looks like for the rest of the week. I think what Jeff Queen was saying was the winner is going to be fishing new water every single day.
Yeah, it sounds like there's an abundance of fish, but I don't think there's an abundance of size.
Yeah, I think it's the people like we're seeing guys catch a lot of fish. I mean, almost the entire field has at least 1 fish right now. At least up to 30. I think there's about 10 guys or so that don't have a fish right now, and we're only an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
What time is it?
They're gonna catch the fire out of these
8:55.
So hour 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it shakes out. I don't know. I don't think you're gonna see the big weights. You might see a big weight today, or somebody that can get up there, gets the right bites, and can kind of coast through tomorrow. Might go practice tomorrow type of deal, because that is the interesting part. If you have a big bag, like I think if you have 15 plus today, if you get a limit, you're gonna make it through tomorrow. So you might have a decent amount of guys that go practice tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised on that at all. The interesting thing is today looks like it's going to be the nicest weather of the 5 days of the event.
We talking wind? We talking temps? What are we
Temps,
talking? Everything?
Wind, constant changing weather conditions. Today it's going to be 62 and sunny as the high. Thursday, 61. Friday is going to be 55, 56 in rain and wind.
Ugh.
Saturday's 55 with sun, and then Sunday, Championship Sunday, is going to be 46 rain and wind.
As a high?
As a high.
Oh, God. Yeah. That's gross.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back and change my fantasy fishing, what it's going to take to win this. Because I put, at the time, when I put that out on the channel, because we're trying to do fantasy fishing stuff for you guys for MLF this year, I said that what it showed was it was going to be 65 plus and sunny on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. No,
so I'm sitting there. I'm like, those fish are going to recoup from a couple days, especially having a full day and a half, and someone's going to smash them, especially largemouth. I put 19.2 as the winning bag on Sunday because someone's going to wreck them. But I might put like 16 at this
Yeah,
point.
if like, who knows if the largemouth will even react and play on Sunday? You might see like a 12-pound spot bag win. 'Cause I feel like on this lake, and I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Because,
I can see what you're saying, but I also feel like these are some of the best anglers in the world.
yeah, but the Open, what Bass was just here. Was it last year, the year before? You have to remember it was a different time of year. It was the fall, but to finish 10th, it took 8.5 pounds a day.
Yeah, I just think this is different though. Opens is a 200 boat field. This is 40,
Yes, but
and that's a whole different caliber.
it's
Anglers.
crazy weather drop, temperature, miserable conditions. They might not bite.
Yeah, I just think these guys always find a way to catch big ones because
Yeah.
spots are always going to play regardless of the conditions.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe 14 to 15 pounds is the ceiling on Sunday, but it might take
I think
13,
somebody in
13 and
the
a half.
back of those pockets that finds some that's loaded with bait that's sustainable. They find it, say, Friday afternoon, ride it out Saturday and Sunday.
And another interesting note, though, is they said this morning, I overheard that the water temp was 72 degrees.
Yeah, that's going to change.
Yeah, like especially with like
That was
days in the
thrift, I think.
50s. Yeah, it's about to drop into, quite frankly, it could get low 60s by the end of the tournament. Like that is a significant water temp drop just on a surface level. It might
Yeah.
be more stable further down you go, and that's why you're seeing fish in all phases. But if you see the back of the pockets drop into the mid 60s, low 60s, whatever's back there and biting is probably going to pull out.
Yeah, I mean, with a high of 46, when the water temps are 72,
Yeah,
you're going to have a big drop, especially in the back of these pockets that are very susceptible, especially the ones that don't have a lot of sun on them.
yeah.
It's going to shake things up. I think what's going to be cool is I think there's going to be one or two guys that are going to be in the hunt today and tomorrow that stay in the hunt. But then you're going to have a couple, like 4 or 5 guys that do well first couple days that completely drop off the map on days 3 or 4.
Yeah, and you might even have guys that do bad today and then figure them out at the end of the day and squeak in tomorrow.
Guys that limp through to
Yeah.
knock out
And
zeros.
Really figure out what's happening with these fish, and then come if they make the top 15, the top 20, 15, and then 10, they might be somebody who's dangerous because they're figuring it out as the conditions are changing, and the guys who are whacking them today might get sucked into the pattern that they're already on, and their bite could be going away or coming to them. Time will tell, but it's going to be a very interesting tournament. I'm excited to watch it unfold.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those events where you're almost like, obviously everybody wants their ride around time, go find brush piles, all that kind of jazz, right? But it's almost one of those derbs where you're probably better off literally just starting on day one, not even practicing.
Yeah, I could,
from a condition standpoint.
Absolutely. I think you can figure out where the predominant areas on the lake are. It's just adjusting and figure out how to get them to continually to bite throughout the 5 days.
Yeah. Right now, as we look at it, they went to commercial here. Zach Burge is in the lead with 12 pounds, 4 ounces. Greg Vincent in second with 11.5. And Edwin Evers in third with 10 pounds, 13 ounces, and only 4 fish with a whopping 6-pounder.
It's a giant.
And look who's in fourth.
Mark Davis.
After dropping a mega bomb on him at Kissimmee, and unfortunately couldn't come back and win, although the Chris Lane finish was incredible. I think regardless, everyone's happy about that finish, but I think part of some people will be like Mark Davis. People will love to see him go win an event now.
Yeah. Mark Davis is probably offshore throwing a Carolina rig, doing something completely different than everyone else. And just
sticking to his guns.
Just dragging that old ball and chain.
He's got a 412, 4 fish for 10.5 pounds.
That's a big fish.
I think Jesse Wiggins has caught like 50 bass already, but they're all like a pound and a half.
Yeah. And that's going to be key is like on this lake, whoever can get that big bite a day and have 4 2-pounders or 4 2.5, 2.25 to go with it are going to be sitting really pretty. And if somebody can somehow crack like 2 or 3 big largemouth, like an Andy Montgomery started off the day with a big one, that would be fun to watch as well.
Yeah, he was like the first one on the board. It was like a 314.
Yep.
Well, so we talked about it at the beginning. I want to call attention to it again. We tried to get a cool setup for you guys with lake backdrop and everything for this episode. So we literally, Andy and I are in our hotel room, which I wanted to say thank you to Major League Fishing for putting us up this week.
Yep.
Doing a bunch of episodes and being at the expo, which again, if you guys, we're going to be posting episodes. We might even do 2 a day. I mean, who knows? We're going to see where this week leads us. If we think there's something we're chatting about, even if it's for about 40 minutes or so, we're going to put it up for you guys. We're going to be putting episodes up every day. So like when you were listening to this, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, we literally are sitting in our hotel room as the morning of day one doing this deal. So if you're going to be at the expo, hit us up. We'll be at the X2 Power booth, as well as we obviously be floating around. So if you see us, come say hello. But dude, it's going to be. I mean, we were talking about it. It's almost like that willing or not. What is it called? The when you wish upon something and you're like, you want to. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember the word. There's like a term for it. Like you're manifesting.
Yes, manifest. That's a good. Yeah,
a Kevin Van Dam victory.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. Like, how crazy would the Cinderella send off be for Kevin Van Dam if the
he technically qualified for next year if he won.
Yeah, that's true.
I talked to him last week, and he said that was I felt like an idiot because I was sitting there. I'm like, yeah, because I'm trying to put together an article together, and I was like, last REDCREST, like, what's kind of going through your head, preliminary thoughts. He was like, well, I'm hoping it's not my last REDCREST. I was like, that's a good point. He's got all this season to qualify for next year's too. Yeah. On top of if he won this one.
Yeah, that'd be but still on the big retirement season, I couldn't ask for something better for his career than to go out with a REDCREST victory. The only thing sweeter might be if he wins it next year if he qualifies, but what if he goes back to back and goes?
Well, if he wins next year, then he qualifies for 25.
Oh, speaking of next year, didn't they announce the next 2 years locations for REDCREST?
I don't know if that's public knowledge yet.
Oh, I thought. Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, I mean we didn't say the locations, but
but
I don't know if that's public yet.
No,
we'll have to fact check that and see if we can.
I could be wrong. I thought I heard something.
Maybe they can come announce it on the show.
Yeah, maybe that'd be cool too.
So yeah. So, I mean, you did disclose there is new locations that are determined. Next 2 years are determined.
Yeah,
but you didn't say where, so we're good.
Okay, that was my fault.
No, I think you're fine. You are good there. Worst case, I mean, we're not live, so it's no biggie. We'll just have Joe Opager yell at us. He invited us. He's our shuttle bus guy.
Yes.
Again, big shout out to Joe and the crew over here.
2 hours ago, they were announced.
So
they are up. So we can talk about it.
Read through it.
So REDCREST locations 2024 and 2025 have been announced. It looks like in 2024 and 2025, the expo will be in Birmingham, Alabama. In 2024, this one will be cool. It's going to Lay Lake. And then in 2025, it will be on Gunnersville. And the dates for Lay Lake are March 13th through the 17th, 2024. And Gunnersville is April 2nd through the 6th.
Oh, my God.
Which is like insane time on Gunnersville. That's cool.
They're going to smoke the daylights out.
Ooh.
Did I see that the expo for 2025 is in Huntsville and not Birmingham?
No, I think
or is that flip-flopped?
So Huntsville, I think, is the host city for Lay Lake.
Okay, so it's next year it's Gunnersville. 25 is Lay Lake.
No, backwards. So 2024. So Birmingham, Alabama, and Lay Lake will host REDCREST 2024, and 2025 will be hosted by Huntsville, Alabama. Oh yeah, gotcha. Yep,
that's interesting.
You're correct. Yeah.
I wonder. My Alabama geography is evading me here.
Let's look it up. Huntsville.
I'm trying to see like what's closer because I think Birmingham is about where they did it for the Classic.
Okay,
on Hank Cherry one.
Huntsville.
Oh, that's right there.
It's to the north. Yep,
that's not too far.
No, that'll be an interesting place for.
I've heard Huntsville is like one of the areas now that's like really nice for. I mean, I could be wrong. This is what I'm being told by.
It's like an
fellow Bammers.
Up and coming.
Yeah, progressive. Area. Yeah, very intriguing. We just had a new. Well, actually, we have a tie for first.
Ooh, Edwin.
Edwin Evers gets his limit and is tied with Zach Burge, but gets the first place standing because his big fish is basically over 3 pounds bigger than Birch's big fish, which tells you that Edwin has a lot more room to grow because he's got some little ones in there.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what he's doing.
I'm sure
It's
they're going
gotta
to
be a
get a
largemouth.
camera with him soon.
Yeah, it's got to be a largemouth he's on.
Oh, 100%.
6-pound spot is pretty.
Although in
uncommon,
any
I
of
feel
these
like.
pockets, I feel like you can catch spots and
Yeah, but a
largemouth.
6-pound spot in this lake?
spot.
That's
Yeah.
pretty uncommon.
I know there's 4s, so like.
Oh, we gotta get one of the Queen boys in here to give us a full layout of what's going on here. What could be capable. You know, we talk about where we think. You know, I think somebody could smoke them Sunday. We both agree though that the possibilities are not great out of doing well Sunday. But the Queens could come on here and be like, "Oh, dude, they're gonna crush them Sunday."
Yeah, and
I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know how weather affects these Carolina bass at all. Like I know back home, if we got that wicked cold front this time of year, like the same water temps, it gets tough. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I do know from my little spotted bass experience that conditions usually aren't really a problem for spots. I think it's just different in how they set up and how they will attack your bait per se, like in regards to condition, but they're always going to eat.
Yeah, I could almost see on Sunday, like contrary to what people would think, like slowing down and trying to catch them. I think Sunday, the power fishermen, the guys who cover water, will actually do better.
Could be a buzzbait day.
That'd be nuts. 46 degrees, rain, clouds, and buzzbaits.
We've seen it happen.
Yeah, it's true.
We've seen it happen. And what was it? A tournament was one doing it. Was it Scott Martin that won it? When somebody won it, I'm trying to remember where it was. I want to say Cumberland, where the water temps were like literally 51 degrees, and somebody won it on a buzzbait.
Yeah, could happen.
Somebody knows what I'm talking about out there. I don't know what I'm talking about. Somebody knows exactly the tournament I'm referencing, but regardless, this is going to be interesting here because one, it's cool. I'm somewhat of a fan of Charlotte thus far. Food has been on par besides the hotel coffee, according to Andy.
Oh, yeah. I can't complain about it. It's a free cup of coffee, but
you're such a bougie
I am a
connoisseur.
bougie coffee connoisseur. As we're driving in on our wonderful shuttled bus by Joe, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna have to walk over to that coffee shop here after we're done recording." So about 100 yards away. So
your coffee shops are coffee shops that my dad will probably disown me for going to.
Hey, or make fun of me for it.
He goes, "You nice little heart of whipped coffee you get, whatever the hell that thing is. It's like a heart shape. It's all artsy fartsy." And he's like,
the froth.
He's like, "You will not step foot in my house ever again."
Oh man, it's good. I mean, I don't even care if I get a latte, right? Like, I just want a good cup of coffee.
I don't even know what a latte means.
It's just espresso with milk.
So, tangents. Right. I feel okay. I was about to ask a question, but then we're gonna go down like a whole tangent on coffee, and I don't think people care about coffee.
So, yeah,
you guys thought it was bad tangent wise, less remote. 10 minutes down the road, webcamming in, but us in person, it's even worse.
Oh yeah, man. We've had some interesting conversations already in the day that we've been here in Charlotte now. That looked like a good one. Who is that?
That's Thrift.
Yeah. That was
Thrift rocking some his Blackfish gear. Looks like a Blackfish Gale jacket, which I really wish I brought with me to the ramp this morning. That would have been amazing.
100%. I was like, whoo. Oh.
Speaking of Blackfish, we can't fully disclose yet. I think we hinted at it last episode. New stuff's coming.
Yeah.
That I'm really, really excited about. That I wish I had this morning.
Yeah. Same.
A lot of that.
Same.
It was I know we keep talking about it, but it was lit. I mean, for folks who are in the north or Midwest or wherever the hell you're from, it is the difference between a northern cold and a southern cold. It might be 10 degrees warmer technically in the south than the north.
Degrees colder.
Oh, but it feels so much colder than the north. I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously the wind never helps, but was that Jordan Lee? No. Who was that? Is that James Elam? No. Who's Sims? Sims, Abu, and Berkeley. Is that Jordan Lee? He's not Sims, is he? I thought he left. I know he left Carhartt.
Yeah, I know Carhartt. He might be Sims.
Is he Sims now? It is Jordan Lee.
Jinx.
When did that happen?
That's a very interesting
move. I mean, good for him. Sims is a great brand too.
Absolutely.
What does he got? So he's fishing docks. Shocker. That's a fat spotted bass.
Yeah, I say that looks like a big spot.
Wonder if he's fishing more your mouse of these cuts, the docks on them for these fish that might be moving back.
Yeah, I wonder, like,
Which, think about it, this week, that might be a really smart idea for some of these cuts that are on like secondary points, because you might have fish pulling in.
Yeah.
Like as of even from yesterday with the heat, and then with the temps, you might have fish coming to you both ways because you might have fish pulling out.
Yeah, especially like some of the deeper docks that have the cuts. I think from the Bass Open, they did like an aerial view of one of the pockets, and they showcased like all the good docks to fish on this lake.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like cut out and deep. So they have spots to come up when the water's warm, but they can back out, take cover, and still be in that deep, warmer water underneath the dock. And maybe that's something he has game planned already, knowing that it's going to get colder into the weekend. And it's good to see that if that dock sets up that way, that he pulled one off of it, which means they're already there. So he's set up for the weekend. That bite, that's one of the few bites I don't think that will go away, and they will constantly reload it.
Yeah, they're always on docks. Yeah. It's just one of those lakes that is. It's just a major dock lake. Justin Lucas fishing docks. He's hooked up. Is that a good one?
Look,
you can tell. Decent one. I think it's growing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. So from a dock standpoint, there's definitely some lakes, Carolina heavy. You could even argue some Tennessee River stuff. Docks play heavy, but there's fisheries where if you're not having docks as part of your day, you're probably missing out on either good fish or limit, like whatever. They play heavy.
Yeah.
Where up in the north, we have some docks or lakes that play heavily from a dock standpoint. But we have some like you don't need to fish docks in the north.
Right. Yeah.
But let's talk about. So we're talking about here like docks on secondary points and talks about cuts. Where for us, like we don't have creeks on our lakes.
No,
we have glacier lakes. They're just bowls.
Yeah.
They're nothing. How do you? Because I know you love fishing docks. You're good with. You're proficient in fishing docks, unless you're not having a good flipping day, because then you lose your marbles. But how do you go? Like, say you go down a whole stretch. You look at a lake that has all just complete docks on it. We have several lakes like that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you start? How do you pick them apart? Where do you be like? Do you just find one random dock and be like, all right, I'm going to start a NASCAR track and go around the whole circle here? Or?
No, I try to be pretty strategic with my dock fishing. Like, I want them to have some water, close access to deep water. It's almost always near a main or a secondary point. And a lot of our finger lakes and a lot of the lakes around us will have creeks that dump into them, but we don't have creek arms that we can go up into.
Yeah, explain that a little bit further for people, because they might be
so
confused.
Like down south in these giant reservoirs, they have creek arms that go back miles and miles, and then they might have 3 or 4 more arms going off of them, where we have these little tiny natural hill flowing streams that flow from the top of the hills down into the lake basin. And there's a couple lakes around us that a couple of them that you can kind of poke your nose into, but that's about as far as you can go. And basically, the reason why I look for these points, main lake points where these creeks dump in, is if they have any bit of flowing water to them, it gives a really good oxygen place. It creates a natural current. And if you have a deep dock near that creek that's flowing in, even if it's just a tiny little trickle, it also pulls bait fish to that area. So that would be the general area that I will pick docks to go, is from a main point to a secondary point, and it needs deep water access pretty close to it. But then we have some random docks that you can catch them in 6 inches of water for no rhyme or reason. But
yep,
they're not.
Well, and I think so. I hate fishing docks. I can't stand it, but I'll do it when I need to. Well, though, I tease my buddy Zach. When we travel to the kayak tournament, which, by the way, good luck to Zach and the folks fishing Caddo and Bistineau on the next Hobie BOS event this weekend.
Some big ones down there too.
I'm so jealous. Although they're getting a cold front in true fashion, but they have a full moon, so they might freaking smash their lights in today through this weekend. I tell Zach, I was like, if you ever see me on docks in practice or a tournament, like, don't worry about me for that event. I'm not in it. What I do know is, like, some of the docks that we have in New York that you figured that are always good and they're dirt shallow are typically your wooden docks, because they're not. And the reason I think those are more consistent, obviously you can't take them out. They're not your metal docks where you can take them out and roll them off to the bank. Whereas obviously those can play on metal docks, but like, talk through why wooden docks and metal docks, and why some people will be like, they'll see a whole stretch of metal docks, they won't touch them, but they'll hit the wooden ones.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with the way they planted the wood into the ground too, and depends on the type of wood it is. Um, in theory, and this is just my best guess, I think when they put those posts of the old wooden ones, they've got to be cemented in there somehow with rock on the bottom. You tend
Harder
to
bottom, you're
have
saying?
harder bottom on those old wooden docks, and it could be just the fact that the wooden docks have fallen apart over time, and you have old wood laying underneath there, and it gives crawfish little spots to hide into. It gives baby bass, baby perch, baby bluegill, any type of fish. Grass grows on wooden docks really well as well and attaches to it. So you have all this additional habitat for food for the fish to feed off of. As where with like a lot of metal docks, they have wheels at the end. They get pulled out and pushed back in, pulled out. They can pull them out whenever they want. So I don't know. I love wooden docks. They tend to be older. They tend to have more structure around them, and
More consistent habitat for
yeah,
the fish.
yep.
Which, by the way, if you guys are hearing a loud knocking, I apologize. It's either doing construction or people are having fun in the morning for a while. I don't know which one it is, but either way, if you can hear it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can hear it through my headphones, so I'm assuming people can hear it through the mics.
It's quite the banging.
He just laying it out there for him. Oh, good Lord.
You know, but it could be construction, it could be hammers, like we don't know what it is. It's just kind of comical.
Yeah, you guys can have fun with that one in the comments. I'm sure that'll get clipped somewhere. Guys, this is a lot of fun. This is the first in-person podcast that Andy and I have done together. I've done a few of them, more with Rudd, obviously, with our trip to X2 down in Alabama. But like, this is a cool deal. We've been wanting to do this for a while.
Absolutely.
We, eventually we want to get a studio and everything for Sirius. And
yeah, if you don't move south on me.
Yeah. It's looking more and more like that every day, unfortunately.
But we'll figure it out. Oh,
Good.
man.
Oh,
Edward's
here we
first fish was a 6-pounder, and then he's got all
113, 109, 107, 107.
Yeah, 2 right at that minimum weight cut at 107.
God, did he get a spotted bass? I gotta see a clip of this.
No, I bet it's a largemouth.
I think it's gonna show up on his YouTube channel regardless. Which, by the way, talking about that, I don't know who they.
There it is. There, big old lart. Ooh, that almost looks like one of them cross ones.
That's a big one.
That's an interesting looking fish.
That's a big old belly.
That's a largie, but it almost looks like it's one of those mean mouths.
I'm gonna go on a limb that Edwin's throwing a buzz bait.
He could be, or a spinner bait.
We've seen the wake baits playing.
Yeah, could be a spinner bait bite too.
Well could be.
He loves chucking a spinner blade.
Well, I mean, yeah, he just made one. He has a whole line with the Berkeley Power Blades, which are snazzy.
Mm-hmm.
Those work really well. Speaking of, we got this. Sorry, we're getting distracted by the commercial. We have the live playing here. Obviously, we told you guys we couldn't play the live stream at the same time. Yeah, Busby, that's an interesting one. I've seen some new stuff emerging with these different companies, and it's intriguing where you think innovation's done from a. We've talked about this from a bait standpoint. We don't have to get into that, but like innovation from storage to rods to reels to we think it's done. Some genius comes along and thinks of something completely new.
Yeah, I think if there's anywhere in the fishing industry that they could be more innovative, it's storage, it's rod storage, carrying rods, like stuff like that.
Terminal tackle preservation, basically. Yeah. Like everybody's sick of when their hooks rust and all that crap.
You know what stops that? You know what would stop them from rusting? Not putting a old hook, like if you just change it out real fast, like you tie it on, you change it out and it's wet, you throw it in there. That's why they rust.
Oh, you're saying if they let it
just let it air dry for a minute.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people do. But then there's some people that, like me, you throw them at the bottom of your boat or your kayak, you let them sit there. You're like, oh man, I don't know why I'm running through hooks so fast. Well, hey, genius, you put your stuff back.
If after it dried and you put it back, you might not run out nearly as fast. But
well, part of me is thinking about getting like they have the magnet strips. Put a magnet strip on the sidewall of my kayak. So on my thermal tackle, I just stick it on the magnet. It dries out, or like when I'm driving back, the kayak's in the back, airs out, and then put them back in the box. I don't know. I'm always thinking about that. I'm always very intrigued with the process, like trying to fine tune how to make yourself more efficient. Which, like, these guys are the greatest, representations of people that have dialed that process of like especially when you looked at last year's format of every fish of like guys that would rig 7 rods of the same bait because if they got messed up, had a nick in their line, they wouldn't have to take a couple minutes to retie. They just pick up the new rod and keep going.
The only thing that sucks about that is when you get to the 7th rod and you have to do all 7.
That's what they have their breaks for. They have 30 minutes to rig them back up.
That's
back
fair.
up again.
Very fair.
Which I still kind of am a fan of that break. I'm not sure. What do you think about that?
I could use a break in a tournament. I get hungry.
I get hungry.
I won't lie. Like,
need some bougie coffee.
Bougie coffee during my break.
Bougie wrap.
I need a boat delivery service to bring me like a bougie coffee and breakfast sandwich every 3 hours, and I'd be the happiest person alive on the water.
Good.
All joking aside, though, like
some French, like a French press and everything before.
Oh yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Oh,
but
God.
when I'm fishing, I almost never eat or drink. Like, it's
not in derbs, no,
not even fun fishing guide trips. I won't eat.
Oh, I always eat when I'm fun fishing.
Yeah, good for you. Jealous.
I literally like we flip it and I'll have half my sandwich hanging in my mouth.
My mind can't go there. I'm so like, unless I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a break and I'll sit down and eat. But if the bite's really good, I'll keep going. And if it's really bad, I'll keep going. But if it's like one of those days that's in between where you're getting like 9 to 15 bites, I'm like, okay, I'll take a break and eat. But if I suck, like, I won't take a break until I figure it out.
Yeah. You know what? Some of those days that we overlook and almost take for granted.
Yeah.
Are the days where you're catching them and it's like the perfect weather where you're like, you go and you just sit down in the passenger seat and you're watching your buddy fish and you are the most comfortable you've been in your entire life and like not a worry in the world. And you're just kicked back, sun's beating on your face. You're like,
I'm going to take a nap.
You're like, this is nice. Like I feel like we take those days for granted.
Yeah. I almost get to a point now when I go out on other people, like my buddies' boats, and I'm like, I'm good. Because I'm on the water so much in the summertime.
Not worried about it. Yeah.
No, I just sit back. I'm like, I'm going to watch you fish for a little bit and see what you're doing to see if I can learn something.
Which I love because it makes me think that, hey, I get to run a boat for once. Like
I don't have to do anything.
It's my time.
I get to sit here. I can put my feet up, eat a Sammy, drink some water.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is one thing I do a lot, especially in the kayak.
Drink water?
Oh, pump it. Like it's...
You need that. You need an IV in your arm at all times.
Dude, I would love that. I mean, shoot. That's the one thing, boat or kayak, that is the worst in my mind is like the last hour of the day when your head's pounding because you haven't had enough water and all you can think about is getting off and getting water.
And then you're like, crap, I got to go 2.5 miles.
That's even worse than the kayak. That sucks. That is the worst feeling of like you're just like, God damn it. Like it's going to take me 40 minutes to get back where I could have just fire up a motor and be there in 2 minutes.
Yeah. It sucks.
No, I mean, it's the one. We were talking about it. So Greg DePalma.
That's another big one. Mark Davis's big one.
That's a 412.
Mm-hmm.
Looks a little skinnier. Got a big head on it.
Yeah.
Greg DePalma. Congrats on your Bassmaster Kayak Series victory.
All kayak anglers.
I was literally just going to say it.
Look bad.
I was like, can you at least wait till the second or third one? Nope. First one he gets in he literally posts, he goes, 3rd time ever in a kayak. And I was like, son of a. It's making us all look bad. Here we go. Now freaking every other boat guy's going to get into a kayak now and just wax all of us.
Good luck.
Actually, I'm excited about it. It makes me really want to go to the Bassmaster side, getting some events this year to compete against them.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, that's fun, man. I more the merrier come over because it helps establish more credibility in the kayak side.
Agreed.
Which, by the way, we had somebody comment. They didn't want to hear about kayak fishing.
Interesting.
Well, I sorry to burden you, but you're going to hear about kayak fishing.
Yeah, I mean, when one of us is a kayak fisherman full time, like the way he fishes, you're going to hear about it. So I apologize if that's not what you
I'm not going to apologize. No, this is the way they said it. Like, I don't want to hear about kayak fishing. Well, that sucks. You're going to hear about it.
So just listen to the boat fishing stuff. Like, that's the best part about where we live, right? We have a choice of what we want to do, hear, and see. So.
I feel like the South is way better for kayak anglers than the North.
Agreed.
You have, I mean, these lakes have creeks off of them and everything. Like, from a kayak standpoint, when you think about true kayak fishing, which is, designed to do exactly the opposite of what I do in a kayak, of 2 graphs, live sonar, getting offshore.
Are you talking more like the Drew Gregory line of kayak
that is
fishing?
the true form of what kayaks were designed to do from a fishing standpoint, of like get into stuff that these boats can't get into. Well, unless you're Keith Poche, then somehow you can get into him.
Yeah, that's a whole entire different conversation about Keith Poche.
Did you see his recent video from Toho?
No.
It's awesome.
I'll have to go watch that. Wiggins hooked up again.
It's probably another 107. He's caught like 35 fish that are all the same size.
Yeah, and he has not moved.
He's such a underrated fisherman. I feel like that isn't talked about enough.
Agreed.
I mean, so classic going back to Tennessee River, which I don't think people remember. Jesse Wiggins was like in the top 5.
Yeah, so was
he was catching big ones, cranking.
Elam,
yeah,
the chatterbait.
Of course, Atifo just had a giant day.
Yeah, with a little bit of help at the end.
Which I'm surprised I haven't seen him up there yet. I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously Brian Thrift, Andy Montgomery are the favorites here from a local standpoint. But take them aside. Who is your pick to win this?
Ooh,
gut check. Tough. Like, who do you think?
To be honest, like I think Zach Burge. He has a track record for doing really well at the REDCREST. This is his 4th one, I believe, and he's finished 4th, and 6th, I believe, in the REDCREST that he's fished.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always there in big tournaments. My other one that I'm going to go with is I think we'll have a really good shot. It's Jordan Lee. Just because this is a body of water that sets up the way he likes to fish, like a shaky head, wacky rig on docks. And we already saw it. He caught a good one off of doing the exact thing that I'm talking about. And if he can figure that bite for 5 days straight, I think he's going to do all right. Is that Andy Morgan?
That is Elton Jones. Got a good one. Is that a spot? That's a big old spot.
That's a spot, dude.
It's got to be a 4+.
Maybe there are some giant 6-pound spots.
Let's see how this one goes.
But he's doing the same thing. He's fishing docks, probably channel swing docks.
We really should have turned on captions here so we can at least see what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's a big one, man. The reweigh. They've been having an interesting thing with weigh-in today.
It's probably like a 215 or a 315 trying to get to 4.
I said that thing's bigger than 215. It's got to be. Let's see. Let's pull up the score tracker here and see what that fish just weighed. I have to see. I think it had a big old belly. Elton Jones. Where you at?
There's Junior.
I see Junior. Where's Jones?
Might be down.
That was a 315. You called it.
Yeah.
Look at you.
That's why he was reweighing it multiple times, because he was trying to get to be right at 4.
Are you sure it's not a 4-pounder?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's got to be against the rules, right? Of like dumping it back in the water. And then
yeah, it has to be, because I'm like, man, why don't they rinse them? Like, if they've rinsed them, you probably get that.
Yeah, can you imagine like you go to land the fish and you just start dumping it with water before you take it out?
Open its mouth just to get like that little guzzle of water in the back of its throat.
You look thirsty. Come here, fish. That's intriguing. So my gut feeling pick is just leaning hard this way.
Kevin Van Dam.
Now that's my manifest. I love storyline.
Manifest destiny. Like,
I would love
this
to
must happen.
as the PR person for Johnson Outdoors, I would love to have that happen. But also from a fan of the sport, I would love to, see that happen.
And it couldn't happen to a better guy too.
Oh, I mean, we talked about it with a couple people yesterday. Like, Kevin is by far still the hardest working person in the industry, but also the nicest dude that you'll ever come in touch with.
Well, from an outsider perspective, right, this morning he had like 3 different cameras in his boat. He was doing constant interviews, holding up the boat and trailer line, and
no huffing and puffing about it. Like he knows the deal.
Everything was good morning, how are you? Then he had all the firefighters, because they had the firefighter truck from Huntsville down there. He had them on the front of the boat, and he did pictures with them. I'm like, yeah, he just takes the time to reflect on everything and to give time to everyone who's there, because he knows how important the spectators are to the sport, and making sure that the people that back him and have been with him for years get what they need from him as well.
Yeah, like when I started working for Gunpowder, I was told, from media that, Kevin is the easiest person to work with, because when he says he's going to do something, he does it. And he does it exactly when he's going to do it. He says he's going to do it. And if he thinks something, he's going to get in the way of it, he lets you know. And I always believed him. But then like once I got to work with him a little bit from articles and all that, was like, holy crap! Like for example, like from leading up to REDCREST was he had to get off the line and go, talk to somebody else. And he goes, I'll call you in 20 minutes. Literally 20 minutes on the dot. Kevin Van Dam's calling.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you make it in this
Yeah.
industry, especially as a pro, man. Like you can keep your word and you
take care
you
of
might have to be the best
who take care of you.
Yes. Yeah. Here, if you can take every waking moment to make yourself better in some other facet, like the guys that are kicking back and thinking that they're comfortable are the guys that are going to get lapped.
Yep.
Which it sucks because it's hard. It's a freaking grind.
It is.
And I can't relate to that, but I can see it. And that's what, because obviously we're not pro anglers. We can't relate to that, but it's kind of, I give the guys a lot of props because it is up early, driving half your life, and you're getting, as soon as you get any, like whether you suck or you do well, you got media putting a camera in your face. They're trying to get time with you. And
why did you suck?
Yes. Good sir. Why did you suck?
Can you break it down? You're sucking.
You just won. Give me your exact lineup, your baits, your spots, your waypoints, down to the T, longitude, latitude. Give me it all. It's really honestly kind of how it is, which is why we were talking about, recently with Chris Lane. We wanted to get him on, but he's spending some family time. That's the last thing we ever, at least from our show, is why we don't try to cram and get guys on right after, right away.
Yeah, we want to give them their space.
Well, yeah, because think about it. So if Chris Lane fished Clark's Hill, we got him on right after his win, and when he won that, he would have to turn right around and go to Clark's Hill to compete in that, which then he would have to turn right around and come here, which if we took up an hour of his time, that's an hour he could have spent seeing his kids. And I think that's one thing that is the only thing that I don't like about media in general. But I understand that's the necessary evil per se of doing from a consumer standpoint, and these guys get it, but it's hard for me morally to be hey, you just won, you have no time, you have one free hour on Tuesday, all right, let's take it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh, we'll see. For us, it's we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll talk to you in 6 months when everyone's on to somebody different, and we're gonna get you on for post-mortem.
Yeah.
Is that a knock at the door?
Yeah, I think it was a knock at the door.
That might be housekeeping.
It might be.
Should we housekeeping and be our guest? Give me 1 second, folks.
Oh, perfect. I'll take it. Yeah. So, So as we come back here, as Bailey has to go answer the door, it's perfect timing here. But Zach Burge has moved from his primary area and looks like he is set to make a move again. But yeah, the whole I just want to say thank you to the MLF people for hosting this awesome event in Charlotte, the city of Charlotte, right? What a beautiful city this is. You can tell that it's up and coming. Everyone has been great, friendly, and nice, and I can't thank MLF enough for allowing us to come down here.
I would like to thank our Uber from last night.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Oh, yeah. After we had, 1 or 2 cancel on us and then finally pick us up.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's going to come see us at the expo.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to hang out with our Uber.
The one that took us to the restaurant or, to the hotel that we moved to go see some friends. But, yeah, he was funny. We were talking bass fishing the whole way in traffic. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was a bass head. He's like, I'm going to come to the expo. We're like, yeah, man, we'll be at the X2 Power booth. He goes, I'll see you there.
He's like, right. You got a mic for me?
You got a mic? We'll get you on the show, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can figure out we're trying to figure out some different ways to do shows here this week and some cool stuff for y'all. But Classic, we're definitely gonna be doing shows at the Classic at the X2 Power booth. There's just not I don't think it's a big enough booth for X2 this year to do that in person. But we're gonna figure it out regardless. Put out some content for you guys. And again, as soon as we record this stuff, we're gonna fire them up, put them right out here for you guys. But anything else we want to hit on before we wrap this sucker up for our first show at REDCREST?
I just want to say I'm excited to see how the rest of today plays out, and I look forward to recapping it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think we'll do tomorrow morning's episode will be later today, essentially after day one of when we see how this shakes out, like a post-mortem of day one. Try to get one of the queens on here. They're obviously very busy right now too. KJ's he's on twin duty today.
And they're getting ready because I think they're going to be at the Great Outdoors booth. I would assume, right at the expo. So
Jeff's getting all the tackle ready and all that jazz. So, which by the way, if you guys, we've talked about a bunch on the show, Queen Tackle. It's all on Omnia Fishing. So if you guys want to get yourself some, obviously we have codes and such, which Omnia Fishing is doing 25% off all line right now.
Oh, that's such a good deal.
It's a very good deal.
I might have to order my line while I'm here, but my wife may kill me if I have a big box show up because we're like getting ready to
just say you order boxes from the house moving. That's all it is.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, there you go. Now's the time to get all the boxes, Andy.
Yes, that's true.
So you're helping us out. You're thinking.
That's all it is. Not open it, just leave it in the box.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys want, they're running some big sales over at Omnia Fishing. Get involved on that. We actually got some questions about it yesterday. With the Serious Angler hats. If you guys want any merch, our website's down below, SeriousAnglerNetwork.com. But you guys are going to be hearing a lot from us this week. We're going to be super active on social and on obviously from the podcast / YouTube front here this week, as well as the Classic. So if you guys want anything talked about or, all that jazz, comment, DM us. And if we'll see you here, that'd be awesome. We'll hang out, maybe grab some beers, figure it out. Maybe if there's enough people going to Classic, we can do a little bar meetup or something. I don't know. Regardless, we'll figure it out. But Andy, anything else for the folks?
No, I think we're good for this morning, and I really look forward to watching this tournament unfold
as we watch Edwin Evers creeping along some docks. Well, folks, appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more this week, and we'll talk to you on the next one.